yeah, that's true. You have to really, you make a statement with the first 3 songs, and so the first 3 songs are new. But you know, we really believe in a new album, and we start with the 2 new singles. Then we have 1 song that hasn't been released yet, which is Endless War, and we just give them a taste of what's to come, I think. And that's well, we just believe in the new album, and then to start with the show, it's like aha, okay, this is it, and then we can relax, and then tell me later what you think about it. No, never postpone a tour. No, if it's not necessary. I think, you know, we did it also earlier, because with Mother Earth, our second album that ever came out, we also played already our songs live before the album came out, and I must say that's always been the reaction to it was always positive, actually. So people can all when the album finally does come out, so, oh, I know this already, and they can sing along already. Don't have to get used to stuff. So yeah. Well, we met in Belgium like 3 years ago. We were playing at Graspop, which is a huge metal festival. And we were located in the backstage next to each other, and I bumped into him, and I've always been a fan. So I was like, hey, you're from Papa Roach, and oh, how nice to meet you finally. And then he actually also knew us, so I was like, yay! And he immediately went up in my ladder of great people. No, not just joking. No, but he was really nice. He's a really nice guy. A lot of energy and positive energy. And we talked about art section, not even about music. And then I thought, like, oh, one, I liked music. Second, he's a nice guy. And third, if I ever have a song that really fits his music, his voice, you know, we're gonna ask him. So that's to round it up. And I think it was like a week before we started the video for The Reckoning, I already sang everything from front to back myself. And we were thinking like, oh, actually it would be nice to have a, you know, duet on this song, but who can we ask? It was pretty late because everything was already recorded, and we're going to do a video in 7 days. And then I was like, oh, Jacoby, we should ask Jacoby. And then we sent it to his management, and he was in the studio. He said, well, I'm really lack of time. My family not going to like that I have to do another thing beside it, but I'll ask my wife. And his wife said, yeah, I like the song. Yeah, I love it. You can do it. You can do it. That's what he said, told us. That was, it was funny. So he was in the studio, and he did it besides all this other stuff he had to do. And he sent me the files back again, and well, that's how it went. It was very easy. Done in a week. So yeah. Very cool. It has to do with the album title. It's like Resist, and for us it's you know, I grew up in the digital age. You're a bit younger than I am, but I had a Commodore 64, it was called, I think, and you had floppies still at that time to play your games on. And yeah, well, anyway, I never thought that internet and social media would become as big as it is today. And the songs like Resist, on Resist, most are personal songs where you have your own battles. But songs like The Reckoning and Raise Your Banner is really about, well, that we feel that there should be more awareness about our privacy laws, where I think our governments really failed in protecting us against big companies. And because anytime I go on the internet, everybody's trackable and traceable through cookies. You give so much for free, but people don't know what they give away, and it's also difficult to get it out of the system again. So how do you remove it? It's possible. Most people don't know how to. So what we do is like what we did, for instance, for us for the album, is like when you go to our website, you have to accept cookies, but then we show you also what we know when you do accept cookies. For instance, we know your postal address. So when I go to Google Maps, I can even see where you live, what your house looks like. I can even go there. You know, that's crazy. The idea that that everything is so accessible to everyone, and that there's nothing to protect you. Well, I did a solo album called My Indigo, and there was a certain time when I came back from the Hydra tour that I was not sure if I wanted to continue with Imitation, especially because, well, I've been touring a long time, and I'll keep this short because it leads to the reason why we changed our music a bit. The fact was that I was really tired of being in this roller coaster of writing an album, going on tour, doing festivals, going to a theaters tour, and then writing a new album again. And it's always the same thing. And I've done this my whole adult life, and I love it, and I wouldn't change anything. But the thing is that I also missed out on a lot of stuff. So that was for me a total roller coaster of acceptance of choices I made in the past, and the highs and lows in the band that we never dealt with. And so it was for me like a time off, a break, that I needed to figure out what I wanted to do in the future. Do I still want to continue 20 more years, or do I want to do something different? And then I couldn't write for William Stage because it's very powerful music and everything, and I didn't feel powerful, and I didn't like this well, I don't know, this the atmosphere that William Station had at the time, because it's very powerful. It's really being on the barricades at the same time, but I didn't feel like that. So I had to do a step back, and I wrote my Indigo, which is totally different. And then I got really inspired by very much urban kind of music. And finally, when I dealt with the whole process of what I wanted to do in the future, I found also a way back to William Station, because I also found a new direction, not just me, but the whole band actually, because nobody knew. I was like, we don't know which direction to go with the music. And because I did this, my Indigo project, and I was inspired by urban music, we learned a lot from how you make different sounds again also, and putting our heavy stuff on top of it, like the heavy guitars and everything. It became William Station again, but then in a totally different vibe, more laid back, more groovy, and it was like, oh, this is actually really cool. And so we were happy, you know, like, yeah, finding back a new fire, and also it come together with this political view of how things we wanted to say really gave us a new fire to believe in, that we still can bring something maybe for the future, and that there's still something that we want to say to our audience and to the people that listen to our music actually. So I think, but the most important thing is that you add something that's not there yet. Maybe you love certain kind of music, and it's cool to play the same kind of music, but you always have to have that extra that nobody else has. And so that's, you know, it's so it's what I think what we did at the time was like we combined all styles that we liked. We liked Enigma, we liked metal, we liked the death metal scene, you know, the guys came from. So there was this growling voice at the time, but everybody was doing that, but becoming more melodic. And we like Dead Can Dance. I don't know if you know that, but it's really Celtic stuff, and all the songs like from Gladiator, for instance, the music, the soundtrack. She's from Dead Can Dance. She sings all that kind of music. So it's like really beautiful, and a beautiful voice, and that kind of music, and also clarinets. So we combined all styles with each other. So like we put it in a melting pot, and because everybody was so different in the band, it's like, but we did something. I think that, well, I think it's just a combination of luck, also that people really were aware that we were sitting on something, we were trying stuff, and that we combined stuff. And I think that was the X factor. You have to have something special, and the special thing was that we did combine certain styles that nobody else did combine yet. I think I've always sang as small as I can remember. I think my age was 4 that I remember it of. I was always standing in front of the mirror and singing. Not that I wanted to be on a stage, because I was, well, pretty shy also in a way, but I loved the feeling when I was singing that people were like, oh, not bad. So it was like enjoying it myself very much, really in love with singing, just the fact that I could sing, and just how I was feeling I was singing, you know. And I grew up with parents that said to me when I was 4 years old, I had a brother who was 6 years older. He got pocket money at the time, he was 10, and I said, like, I want to have pocket money myself as well. I was 4 years old, could barely talk, but I said, I want to have pocket money. And they said, okay, but you can only spend it on music. So I did. So I every weekend I bought for my small pocket money. I could actually buy, because I was in Indonesia and my parents were expats, and I got my pocket money, and I could easily buy 2 cassettes every weekend. And I did. So I started with Moody Blues and Wars of the World of Jeff Wayne, but also Grease, which was my big love. I loved Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. And I loved the movie. I fell in love with the music because of it also. And I was always singing everything she sang, I wanted to sing as well. and I wanted to be like her. So I was singing in front of the mirror with a wig on, trying to be blonde with curly hair, looking cool, but you know, I never stopped singing. It just made me feel really happy. So my first band I was in when I was 11, I just wanted to sing. I did it every day. I drove my parents crazy. And so the first band I was in was 11 in when I went to, how do you say it? When you go from kindergarten, you go to primary school. Was that when you turned 12 or something? Middle school. When I went to middle school, I was my first band. I was like 11 or 12, and I started my first band, a school band. We were just in music class, and they said like, let's play some music for the other kids in school, you know, and we did on certain occasions. And then we had talent shows at school, which I participated in. And then I had my first band. It was when I was 14. I was in a music school, and they said like, okay, it was for the first time they had this project, and they said how to be in a band. Sounds pretty strange maybe now, but that really worked for me, because I didn't want to play the flute or anything. I didn't want to learn notes. I really wanted to be playing songs that I liked, you know, U2 songs. I wanted to play Live in Color, I you know, all kinds of music. And this was a way for me to do it. So I remember going on my bike to the music school and saying, okay, if I don't dare to do this now, I'll never sing for anyone. Nobody will ever know that I can sing. So I came there, and they said like, okay, what kind of instrument do you want to play? And I was like, well, everybody said guitar, of course, or drums. And I said, keyboards. I didn't dare to say that I wanted to be singing, because it always comes across like somebody wants attention, you know. And it was not for me. I really wanted to sing because it made me happy. And so I said keyboards, and after a week they said, you really suck at playing keyboards. I said, I know. So I put all these stickers on, and I didn't really want to play keyboards. I just was waiting for the opportunity to get the availability to be able to sing before a microphone. And so eventually somebody said like, does anybody want to sing? It's like, nobody? I said, okay, I'll do it. And 2 weeks later they said, you know, forget the keyboards, you're horrible, and you can sing, just sing, it's fine. Yeah, U2, like I said, and all songs that we liked, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, yeah, a lot of blues songs also. But then these guys who were on a different group, they said, like, would you like to join our band? We want to start a band, and we're going to leave the school, and we're just going to we hire something all together, and we're just going to practice songs that we really like together, like a regular band. And I did. So I was 14. They were like 19 or 20. And I learned a lot from these guys, a lot about music and about symphonic metal a lot. And yeah. So, but that was the first band I was in, real band I was in. We performed also sometimes on markets. People would walk by and say, "Oh, this is nice, actually." And yeah, it was good for me to perform, because it's like nobody's really paying attention. And then sometimes people would really listen, like, "Oh, you're really good. You guys are really good." And we had a great guitar player. Mainly played a lot of solos, also with Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was the main reason he wanted to play Stevie Ray Vaughan songs, was because he could do solos, endless solos. And we played also like Guns N' Roses songs, Van Halen. We did Queen songs, and yeah, anything that was cool, actually, in our opinion. And, you know, I'm really, you know, Nirvana is my number one always. Nothing can change it, because I grew up with them. And so Come As You Are, yeah, maybe fits also the age. Come as you are. Or in a wheelchair. My first kiss, wow, horrible. Thank you. No details. Black Rose, the black. Yeah, I saw a lot of blues music as the first bands that I saw. It was like I saw the Black Crowes was one of the first things I saw live, and that was not really heavy, of course, but it was still very much rock and roll, I think. Yeah, I never owned a car, actually, because the first one I was lending from my parents, and they lived abroad because they were expats, and they said, "Here's a car you can use, but first you have to get your diploma." So, and after that, Robert always had a car, and he almost immediately moved in with me when they left. We were living in their place. And so yeah, I never owned a car because he was always into cars. You know, he always had a car, and then all of a sudden we had 2 cars, and it's like the first time when I was really, really drunk, I was on tour with Paradise Lost, and we got these tickets because we were a support act. We got some tickets to get to buy some drinks, and then I remember that was like because we didn't have much money at the time, so it was like hi, you're my best friend, do you still have tickets? And everybody gave me tickets. I was like, Robert had to carry me back to the bus, and I don't know, I said some really strange stuff, I think. Really had to take my clothes off because I wasn't able to do anything. He just dropped me on bed like, yeah, here's your blanket, and I'll take your shoes off. And